Learning new good habits is really hard and often comes with numerous failures. If you're like me, you might think you're just too undisciplined, or just too lazy, or just lack enough motivation. After 3 years of intensive research on this topic, I can tell you that is not true. What the real issue is, the mistakes we all make, and what truly helps is what I want to discuss with you today. About 2 years ago, I published this video on how I managed to get fit using game mechanics. At first, that really worked, but gradually my system fell apart. The sad realization after almost 3 years is nowadays we're not really taught how to build long-term discipline, and that's an important word, long-term. Especially in this fast-paced world where everything around us is trying to get our attention, trying to distract us, making us addicted to their products. And that's such a shame because there's not really a shortage of self-help books out there. My old system was based on so many books like Drive, Deep Work, The Power of Habits, or this one, Atomic Habits. They all promise that you can easily develop new habits with simple and proven methods, and they will then run automatically. But that's not the case. Sure, there are people out there who are mega disciplined, super focused, but that's not me. And I assume it's not you either. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. That's exactly why I make such videos. I always feel like the tips and tricks and books come from people who more or less have already everything under control, like the fitness gurus, who don't really struggle as much as we do. And then they sell us these get fit or get a six-pack in 30 days courses, and later you find out they are stuffed with steroids. So what I'm missing is the perspective of normal people. People like you and me who struggle with discipline, procrastination, or focusing, where things just don't go that smoothly. And if you want to do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with others so I can make more of those videos. Right now, 94% of all my viewers are not subscribed, and especially when you are small as I am, every subscriber counts. But let's go back to the topic on small habits, atomic habits, and take a closer look why it often doesn't work and what really helps to learn new good habits. The interesting thing is that the system actually do work, but the problem is they only work short term and not long term. So they will only work short term as long your motivation is high. And it's similar like with goals, right? As long as you have goals, they are short term, they work, but once the goal is over, it's over. You can see that if you have a gym membership, for example, you want to get fit, you have a new year's resolution, and it works for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, but it slowly fades, and then after a year you are not going to the gym at all. If that has ever happened to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the problem is simply that the motivation fades and daily stress often overwhelms you. And it was the same for me. A few years ago, I had this huge desire for improvement. I wanted to be healthier, more successful, and things I just wanted them to get better. I was way too fat, had a really bad relationship with sports itself, and this whole procrastination and not focusing just annoyed me. So I developed the system with these books, read many books, and what I then tried to do was run every day, meditate every day, learn a new language, because I always wanted to learn a fifth language for the last couple of years. So I wanted to learn Spanish as my fifth language. And then generally, all of it worked.
Is this the end of the story or the beginning of the legend?
It really did. My system worked for 6 months, and then it failed. Despite all good intention, I really followed all the teaching from these books and the others out there, the tips and tricks, built a system, made sure I did something every day, no matter how small, set habit stacking, habit tracking, set clear intention, but in the end, it all didn't work. Take meditation, for example. I wanted to meditate for 50 minutes every day. That was the goal. But the least thing I said for me is, if I can't do it, I at least meditate for 1 to 5 minutes. That's the smallest account possible, but at least every day. And the same was true for running and learning the language. That was the intention, right? But now, again, going back to the meditation, is that this daily stress came in. And you have no idea how hard it sometimes is to meditate when your mind is full of project stress and you desperately need to get something done. So I just gradually stopped meditating. It was like a creeping process. A day less here, a day there, then 3 days here, 4 days there, and then suddenly I wasn't meditating at all anymore. I did start meditating again and this is now 2 months ago, but like for a limited time of time, like around a year, I didn't meditate. And the same happened with running. I got injured, hurt my foot, I had to take a 6-month break. Well, actually it was a 3-month break. Then I convinced myself, I need a 6-month run, and then I didn't run for a year. And with the language, it was the worst. For learning the language, I used an app you might know, it's called Duolingo. Duolingo uses gamification to keep you engaged. It's super good, but it also shows you how dangerous gamification can be, because the focus was very much on the gamification and not on the learning, at least for me. I had a 365-day streak, a special icon with wings, and I was really proud that I've been learning this language for every day for a year. Then came again daily stress in the picture. I forgot to open the app for 3 days. Now the problem with the app is you can freeze your streak and you can go back, but only for 1 or 2 days. But for 3 days, once the 3 days was gone, everything was gone. My whole streak was gone, my icon was gone, and I was so demotivated and frustrated that I haven't picked up the app since today. That is totally stupid in hindsight, because it was all about learning a language, not achieving an icon. But it freed me off so much that all I tried to learn and all this habit I wanted to generate was gone. And it's still gone, right? For now 2 years I haven't learned one Spanish word yet. And again, all I can say in hindsight, it's super stupid. But it also shows you why there's a problem. So that only shows me that the concept that good habits run automatically if you just do them long enough is a complete lie. Otherwise, I would already be brimming with good habits. I mean, as I said, right? I was learning this language for a year every day, so it should have been automatic, but it isn't. It was enough for a pixel to be gone to throw me off. But through a lucky coincidence, I have now found out how it could work long term. I discussed the concept with some professionals who all thought it was great, and that's why I'm sharing it with you today. So tip number 1, the most important thing, the basis where you should put in the most work into is you need skin in the game. Basically, you need skin in the game so that you have something to lose. And I noticed that drastically when I got back into running. I wanted to find out once and for all for a YouTube project, actually that's the video that will follow this one. What is the influence on sport, on cardio, on weight loss? So for that, I wanted to run, and I needed to run every day, because no matter where you look, the number 1 sport for losing weight is suggested is running. So I needed to run every day. So that was the exercise. And that was super hard, especially after the first 2 months when it rained, when it snowed, when I went snowboarding, and then my feet were sore and I still needed to run, because that was the challenge, right? So I did that for 6 months, and I really had a lot of skin in the game, because I had to run every day. Otherwise the project, the whole experiment would be worthless. And that was such a strong internal motivator, and I really ran every day, which I'm like blown away about that. So what I then noticed is that the opposite happened when the project was like over. When I had my goal, when I did the six months, I suddenly didn't really want to run anymore. I lost the motivation. So it immediately clicked that, oh, goals are a good motivation, skin in the game is an amazing motivation, but now you need to push that so it also works long term. So I reflected. And I told myself and asked myself, why am I doing this? Why do I want to exercise every day? Why do I want to learn a habit to be active, to have an active lifestyle? And then it became very clear to me. I did that because I want to be healthier. And studies showed that at my age, when you're over 40, if you become inactive, muscles slowly break down. And that starts at 40. Bone density decreases, the metabolism gets worse, and the only way to reach a high age and be also healthy in old age is if you stay active. And these foundations are set when starting at 40. And with that, what I found out by accident here was, hey, now I do have skin in the game. Because if I don't learn to be physical active and really do something actively, then I have a problem with my health in my old age. So I have this as a foundation, as a base again, for intrinsic motivation, a reason why it's important that I exercise every day. And so far, this really works. So I've been here now, it's August 24. I started my experiment, my ultimate experiment in August 23. Been running for a year, been active for a year, and I even now run up to 7 kilometers now every day. So I'm really, really proud of that. But what I also found out is that intrinsic motivation alone is not enough. Hence, we come to our tip number 2. Find the external push. You found something that where you have skin in the game, where you're intrinsically motivated to do something, but your inner resistance will still manage to convince you that today isn't the day to do the work, right? Maybe do it tomorrow. And that is where external people really come into play. Personally, for example, I ask my kids and my wife that if they see I'm not exercising daily, that they push me, that they really remind me, that they really annoy me to the heck that I made a contract with myself that I want to do exercise every day because I want to get healthier. And that little help, that little push is often enough for me to put on my shoes or to do some exercise, to do some cardio and get over this inner resistance that often holds me back. But, and now we come to tip number 3, it's also always a conscious daily decision. Because let's be honest, learning new habits when you are highly motivated, when you're having good days, no stress, is really easy. It becomes really, really hard and challenging on bad days. When you're really stressed, when you're not feeling well, when something happens that's completely out of control, someone is unwell that you are close to, you lost your job, or anything else, right? And as I said earlier, I don't believe that habits form automatically as described in this book. But what I found out is what really helps is that I really work on that it is a conscious decision, a conscious daily decision I am doing every day to carry out this habit. And I still have to fight every day to do it. But it becomes a little bit easier. And having this clear mindset that this is a conscious decision helps to push this through some daily struggles I had. Now this brings us to tip number 4. Celebrate successes and set anchors. What I mean by that, and this is also in many books, is making progress visible and celebrating it. For me, that helped enormously. It is really something you shouldn't underestimate. The interesting thing is, let's take running for example, and I started running about 2 kilometers. And now I run up to 7 kilometers. And for me, that's really a lot. And I celebrate that. But I don't only celebrate the quantitative progress that it's now running like 7 kilometers, but I also celebrate what I call the emotional progress. For example, that I, after the snowboarding, where my feet are sore, I still ran, although I really didn't want it. Or that after once a long appointment, I came home at 10 p.m. and I still went for a run, or when it was raining, when it was snowing. You could ask you, okay, why do I do that? Why I keep that in my back of my memory? Why do I celebrate that? Because this reduces my inner resistance. Because when my inner resistance is so high that it tells me, oh, it's raining, oh, it's snowing, just do it tomorrow, I bring back those memories in my brain and tell me, hey, look, you already did that. It worked really, really well. And after that, you felt so great and you were really good and you celebrated yourself and this good feeling. And this is super effective because despite skin in the game and somebody telling you you should do it and making the conscious decision, sometimes there's so much heavy resistance, and then getting back you the feeling how it felt like you breaking that inner resistance and you did it, although you had this inner resistance, is such a great help, and for me, something that I cherish a lot, and that helps me push through this inner resistance. So you need to have intrinsic motivation, is like the core, but then tip 2, 3, and 4 were about how to push through the inner resistance. But tip number 4 is something different. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is something I learned, is that you please don't overwhelm yourself. For example, I know today that my system was doomed to fail from the start because I made a huge mistake. I wanted to learn too many new habits all at once, and I was simply overwhelmed. Even if you have things like in this book, Atomic Habits, where it says, okay, if you have already habit, then use habit stacking to add a new habit onto it, and then it might correct automatically. No. All I can say is, from my experience, don't do that. Focus on one habit and see that through. I have one habit. I want to exercise every day for my health, and now after a year I slowly notice that it's getting easier. But I still have bad days. I still have days where I really don't want to do it. And if I would have another habit that I want to do and another one, I would lose them, and then I would get frustrated, and that would be too much. That's why I'm trying to focus on one, although I am now trying to start with a second one, which is meditating. And that brings us to tip number 6, be kind to yourself. As I said, I'm doing meditating, but if I can't do it because the day is too stressful, I will focus on my first one, the running, and I will be kind to myself, saying, okay, you focus on the first one, it's okay, try to do it next day. Try to improve it, make it better. Because don't be the fool as I was. Take the example with the language, where I was learning a language, but I was so focused on a pixel that once I lost the streak, I got so demotivated that I did not go on anymore. And that's stupid, because I wasn't there to gain pixels, I was there to learn a language. And that's one of my biggest complaints on these books is they don't emphasize how important it is when you fall down to stand up, and they don't teach you really how to go back on this habit. And this is the most important thing, because if you want to build new habits, it's a long-term process. So if you have a long-term process, you might fail, you might fall down. The most important thing is be kind to yourself, learn from it, stand back up and do it again, and try to push yourself to do it and do it again, right? Don't get discouraged, because if you stop it, you have lost everything, as you see with my language, right? So I should be kinder with myself and tell myself it's all okay, learn the new language again. But well, I'm only an ordinary guy myself, so right, things like this happen. Anyways, these are my 6 tips. I hope it helped you. And if you want to know more especially about the video on how much influence does sport have on weight loss with a very extremely surprising end, then just click on this video when it comes out. Thank you for watching, and please again subscribe if you want to see more of this. This helps me a lot, especially with this new English channel that is very, very small. And see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.